We'll see what we can do. I don't know, man. I mean,
I don't
know, man.
I got a lot of these 50s over
So it's the best on you, gentlemen. Sir. Get it.
Give it something to work with.
Give it to the man. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
See, that's right there. This right here is not my hand.
Exactly.
Wow.
Take it away.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I gotta see that.
You can join it.
Get them stacks up.
Raise it.
Oh.
Welcome to the party.
It's about $50.
Whoop, that's. Whoop.
Ooh. Oh, no.
Are you serious, my brother? Okay. That's this, right?
Yeah.
Y'all playing for real.
All right.
All right, here we go. All bets closed.
Close them out. Send me something.
Woo! That's royalty, baby. Ooh. Somebody about to get executed, man. That's for real.
You're done. Go get it.
Is that?
Who's it to?
It's you?
Yeah. Come on, brother.
You got enough for this?
Man, it's all his money.
Use it. Mr. Man.
Oh!
Give it up. I just really want to see what that is.
Pitch a line, find a thief. He sure did. He said he sure did. I don't have any of those cards. I was bluffing. All that stuff, I don't have any of that.
I just wanted to tell something.
All that.
Nah.
Man, good job, Mike, for getting your stacks up a little bit. We were worried about you.
Finally, I know y'all were.
Fine.
Y'all gonna have to find a replacement cast member or something, but I found a way to be in there.
Absolutely.
I saw what you had. It was pretty good.
That's pretty good. I mean, you ain't supposed to be looking at everybody's hands.
I was already. I was.
It don't matter, bro. It don't matter. You
I was
trying to
done.
get the man? Come on, man.
I was done.
Come on, bro. All right, here we go. Let's get it going. I need to get some money.
Get it tight. Get it right. Come on.
Turn on poker face. Here we go.
All right, Gaga.
Let's get this done. Speaking of getting things done, man, have you ever been in a situation where you finally found that contract, that position that you wanted, and you get into working on it, and you get like 75% of the way through it, and you just realize you just totally were in over your head. And it's like way too late to tell your client, like, I actually don't know how to do this. I know you paid me like $8,000. I don't know how to do this.
No turning back now, right?
I mean, what do you do in that situation? Like, what do you do in those situations where you just find out you're in over your head and it's, what do you do? I mean, you got to reach execution. Ultimately, the goal of a contract is to reach fulfillment.
I mean, it's that's one of those situations where either you have to find a way to apply what you already know to finish the job, or one of those times where you might have to be bigger than yourself for a little bit and get some outside help. I mean, it's in order to get the job done, because the ultimate goal is to get the job done.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you just gotta, hey man, I couldn't take this, I couldn't handle this, please help me out with this. I'll break you off half of it or whatever it is, just because the ultimate goal is to get the job done
Yeah.
and to execute and to get
Yeah.
the customer or the client what they want, what they needed.
And in that plan modification, the sooner the better.
For sure.
Right.
Because, you know, it gets down to the wire at a certain point and it's just like, you know, hold all bets and you just got to go with it from there, you know?
Absolutely.
And that comes with experience, knowing what's beyond your limitations at the moment. I mean, you know,
True.
that's the whole observing yourself.
Yeah, true.
You know,
True.
portion that we
Absolutely.
talked about earlier in one of our other, installments. And just knowing yourself well enough and knowing what you're capable of well enough to yes, you want to try some new things to stretch yourself. You know, of
Right.
course, because why would you not want to? Because I
Right.
mean, you learn a whole bunch of new skills when you stretch yourself a little bit. But
Right.
you have to know yourself well enough to say, this is beyond me because I need to finish this job. This is beyond me. I need some
Right.
help, outside help, and I just got to, get out of myself
Absolutely.
and
And
then,
then just playing the numbers game, like, you know, you gave the figure of being 75% into the project.
Yeah.
If you're that far along into the project, the mistakes and the answers are already there. So it just
Wow.
takes you kind of looking at, okay, the steps I've taken to get to where I am now. Where did I kind of drop that ball? Where did I fail to execute? You know,
It done. If you don't get anything done, they can say, man, he does great work. I mean, he's got a very talented guy, but you know, every time I pay him to do something, it's like 8 months later, I don't know where he is.
doesn't follow through.
Doesn't follow through. I have to pull the teeth to get things done, and so that's ultimately where your reputation is made. You got to make sure that you set yourself up for success rather than for failure.
right.
Yeah. And it's like the ones who truly are making something of themselves as an artist are the ones who not only dream big, but find a way to realize those dreams, you know. And I think to fail within that somewhere perhaps is just a step closer toward where it is that you ultimately are trying to be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, it's an ever-changing market. I mean, nowadays, in the field that we have, you know, we use a lot of technology. A lot of what we do is based on technology, including what we use the fail-safes we have to kind of deliver final products to our
redundancies.
customers. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So sometimes it may be something as simple as getting an extra hard drive just to save those crucial files, because I've lost files before. I've lost
Man.
files, I mean, important personal files that I can't recover, let alone professional things.
Somebody's wedding.
Right.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. I didn't want to say that, but it does happen, and you know, so just knowing and researching. I mean, even methods is the idea of the cloud that no one understands that we all understand. Storing things in the cloud, whether it's Dropbox, your Google Drive. I mean, whatever it is, just having those backups can kind of help you if that's the issue. You know, so
Yeah. And I think, you know, to go about getting some of these things, really the main thing it takes is the mindset to want to do it. When you have the mindset to want to have these redundancies, that's the first step in actually having them. Because, you know, the person who's never gotten burned on some of those things, they don't see the value in it. But it's because you've gotten burned on it and because you've lost that important file, whether it's personally or professionally, you say to yourself, wow, I've got such and such client coming up. I sure don't want it to happen to them. And that's what pushes you to have the mindset to acquire those tools and to amass the things that are going to get you one step closer to realizing that big dream.
And you know, like we talked about possibly, you know, asking for outside help. You know, there have been a video project that I worked on where, you know, I didn't follow the necessary steps to successfully execute because I finished, but it was not a successful attempt at execution.
Oh wow.
Because there you can finish a project. You can finish a lot of projects,
Right.
Right.
but it definitely was not up to snuff as far as what I actually gave to the customer. And that customer was very nice about it, and I was lucky that I had that type of person.
Man.
I was very lucky that they were very nice about it, and they gave me the opportunity to do it again. But you're not always going to have that opportunity.
Right.
Right.
Just because you finish something doesn't mean it's properly executed. Because execution is not just finishing.
It's a standard.
It's a standard.
It's a standard.
Yeah,
It's setting the bar. I mean,
sure.
and when it comes to execution, it's having this idea that not only is it a standard that you're setting for yourself, because we need to talk about that a little bit more too, but it's also managing the expectations of your client.
Yes.
It's about under promising and over delivering.
You stole it right from me.
Is that good?
But I got it from you, so it
Well,
doesn't
do it.
matter.
Take it, brother. Take it.
But absolutely, that's something I learned from you when we were talking one time about a particular project. But the ability to under promise and over deliver, it's not a trick, it's not a tactic, it's simply being a good service provider. It's simply being able to say, hey, we're such and such internet service provider, and we said we were only going to give you 15 megabits per second or whatever you have, and it exceeds that. How often is it
good.
below that?
Exactly.
I might be speaking from personal woes, but there you are on your computer, and you're looking at your speedtest.net, and everything's
Unrealistic
coming up.
expectation, right?
Yeah,
Right,
it's unrealistic sometimes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to be able to exceed that for the client, and they're looking like, oh wait, sorry, you accidentally gave me such and such.
Right.
Did you mean?
Yes,
Really?
I meant to.
I can keep this?
Yeah.
Wow, I asked for just DVDs, and I have these awesome thumb drives with all the video on it and the picture slideshows. This is great.
I can have them extra megabytes, is what you tell me?
Yeah, pretty
And how you reach.
Don't put that with
Go ahead. Bless yourself.
Right.
But how you reach that in Mike, you'll have to help me because Michael and I love listening to Den Lenny.
Yeah.
Den Lenny is a guy who helps develop young talent in the DSLR and filmmaking world.
F-Stop Academy.
Yes, F-Stop Academy. And he has this equation that he talks about when it comes to delivery and gets into execution.
Sure.
But I mean, it's
You're referring to value equals benefit minus cost,
that's
or
it.
V equals B minus C. So, to that effect, we used to measure value based on how much stuff we could pack in there, and it's going to be so valuable. And at the end of the day, we're exhausted.
and we only made $150.
Right, where's the value in that for us or the client? Because next time they come back to us, they're going like, hey, can we get that 150 special again? And we're going to be like, oh, So learning where the value is, learning where the value point is, it's a lot of fun because you can look at something that you whizzed out in a few minutes and post it up on social media, and people were like, wow, this is great, thank you for putting this out there. And it's like, really, it didn't take me very long, so okay. But having that equation of how much is the cost of this production going to deteriorate from the value. So
Right.
that's where the true benefit is.
Yeah, I mean, and talking about trying to fit so much into a production, you also get into defining what execution means. Execution means fulfilling what the contract is.
Right.
If a client says, I want A, B, C, and D, and you give E, F, and G along with it, you can do that and you can give them a great benefit. But here's the problem. When you're just getting started and you really haven't executed many contracts, what happens is you do a lot of on-the-job training and a lot of testing your equipment out in the middle. You do not pre-produce in the middle of production. That is the surefire way to ensure, and I know it sounds kind of preachy,
Right.
but it's something that like you can't, I can't stress it enough with guys just getting started. You got a guy, I was training this guy, and he promised this client he was going to have all these things done for him and this and that, and I kept telling him, hey, be careful, you're just getting started on the job, you don't quite know what you're asking and what you're signing up for. On top of that, you're just training out here in this state for a couple weeks. You're going to be off site in a couple weeks. So everything that you got to get done, you don't have the same 4 weeks I got. You got 2 weeks to get it done.
Right.
And you know what? When you promise it, I'm going to make you do it yourself. Because I'm going to say, I don't know what this guy's talking about. 'Cause I didn't promise it.
Yes,
I've been doing this
yes.
all the time. So you know what happened? 2 weeks later, he started missing his wife. He was ready to go home. And this guy's probably watching it right now. I love you, bro. I love you. He's probably watching this right now. I love you. But I wanted to use your experience.
Yeah.
I want to use this experience to teach some people because you learned a lot and you became a great person because you became a great professional because of it. So I got to apologize in advance. But what ended up happening is that client said, hey, I want A, B, C, D, and E. And he also promised FGH.
Nice.
Well, FGH, he didn't know how to deliver, and he delivered it in a way that was far below expectations. He didn't
Yeah.
define for the client what that was going to be, and ultimately, the next day, as great a job as he did, he went above and beyond. All they could talk about, well, he got on a flight, but
Yeah.
without giving me A, B, C, D, and E, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I had to do it, and it was like, you what you're doing is you're putting your reputation out here in the middle of the table, and you're leaving it up to the client's cards.
Yeah.
You can't play the game that way. You can't afford to play the game that way. You got to play fair, and you got to treat yourself the right way.
Yeah, and it just robs the fun out of it. How much pressure are you putting on yourself by trying to overextend yourself beyond expectations? Now, if you want to secretly plot and plan and say, oh, this is going to be so good, they don't even know they're getting this, I'm going to work secretly on it and just wow them.
That's the way to do it.
Right.
Under promise and over deliver, because then
Yeah.
it's a surprise. They don't have an expectation, and if you don't get it done, they have no idea that you screwed up.
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah.
There's a fail safe attached to that.
Yeah.
So.
Redundancies, like you said, man.
Exactly. I was
It's
going
not
there.
just in Dropbox.
It's not just.
Not just in Dropbox.
Very good.
All right, so y'all ready to?
Public service announcement.
Yeah, right. Well,
You
forget about the clouds. I'm
you
ready
thought
to
it
get some.
was
I'm already.
No, you gotta get your own.
That was just some demonstration.
I'm looking pretty good.
I'm already.
You looking good? Well, go ahead. Let's see.
I'm on the table.
He on the table.
Y'all, oh, we back where we started, man. Y'all go
What?
ahead. Y'all head up. Let's do it.
No, you fold?
I'm been full.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow that trend.
It was a winner.
It was a winner.
Good job. Well, there you go.